Every single time you click Add to Cart, you're basically leaving behind a little digital breadcrumb. Now imagine if you had all the breadcrumbs from an entire city for a whole year. That's a mountain of data. But here's the cool part. Hidden inside that mountain is this incredible story about how a city lives, how it celebrates, and yeah, how it shops. And today, we're going to crack that code. All right, so let's get into it. Think of us as data detectives for the next few minutes. And our big mystery is this. What secrets are hiding in all that online shopping data? Can we go deeper than just seeing when people are shopping? Can we figure out the what, and maybe even the why? The clues are all there. We just need the right tools to uncover them. So our case file, it comes from a big Brazilian online retailer called Olist. And we're zeroing in on the huge bustling city of São Paulo, specifically for the year 2017. And this isn't just some random spot. São Paulo accounted for nearly 40% of all their transactions. So yeah, it's the perfect place to start digging. Okay, so any good detective has their standard toolkit, right? For a data scientist, one of those go-to tools is something called clustering. It's fantastic for finding groups in data, but as we're about to find out, sometimes the standard tools, well, they only show you part of the picture. They can leave the most important clues just out of reach. All right, check this out. This is what you get with a standard analysis, a technique called spectral clustering. What it does is it groups all the weeks of the year based on how much money was spent. You could see the different clusters, right? All marked by different colors. And look at that little group of purple dots way over on the right. That's cluster 2. That's showing us the big spending weeks at the end of the year, probably the holidays. So, okay, that's a good first lead. We know when people are opening their wallets. But, and this is a huge but, there's a major problem here. This chart tells us when, but it tells us absolutely nothing about the what. We know people spent a ton of money in those last few weeks, but what were they buying? Was it Christmas decorations? Gifts for family? Big-ticket electronics? Without that piece of the puzzle, we don't have the full story. We're kind of missing the motive, So to really solve this thing, we need to call in a specialist, a detective with a more powerful approach, one that can see the connections that other methods miss. And that's where our hero comes in. A technique called co-clustering. It's pretty much built for this exact kind of problem. So what exactly is co-clustering? Well, the key word, the magic word here, is simultaneously. Instead of just grouping the weeks, it groups the weeks and the products at the exact same time. Its superpower is finding those hidden links between specific time periods and the specific things people are buying. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Traditional clustering, it's like looking at just one side of the coin, in this case, the weeks. But co-clustering, it looks at both sides at once, the weeks and the products. So you don't just get two separate lists of groups. No, you get the story of how they're connected. It finally links the when to the what. All right, so how does this super sleuth actually pull this off? Let's do a quick high-level rundown of how it finds these deeper patterns. Okay, so first, it builds this huge web, or a network, that connects every single week of the year to every single product sold in that week. Think of it like a giant map of connections. Then, it uses some really clever math to let the data itself tell us how many distinct patterns it should even be looking for. It's not just a guess. And finally, with that number in hand, the algorithm gets to work, simultaneously identifying the tightest groups of weeks and the exact products that make them unique. And this right here, this is that second step in action. This chart is basically how the algorithm decides on the perfect number of patterns to find. It's not random. The math behind it, this spectral gap, it points directly to the number 16. So the data itself is telling us, hey, there are 16 unique shopping stories hidden in here. Okay, so we've set the scene, we've met our high-tech detective, and we've seen how it operates. Now it is time for the part we've all been waiting for, the big reveal. Let's see what it actually found. And boom, here it is. This is what co-clustering gives us. So on the left, you've got the clusters of weeks. You can see this one massive cluster of 46 weeks. That's probably just your normal, everyday shopping. But then you see these other little really interesting clusters of just 1 or 2 weeks. And on the right, you've got the 16 clusters of products that correspond to them. The case is officially blown wide open. And now we get to look inside the evidence locker. What you're seeing here are the actual product IDs from one of those patterns. We can now say with certainty that a specific, small handful of weeks was uniquely defined by the sale of these exact items. This is it. This is the connection we were looking for.
The what is now officially tied to the when.
Okay, so this is a really cool trick for understanding shopping data. But why does this really matter? Well, because this powerful technique, this detective, it doesn't just solve mysteries in online shopping. Its skills are being used to find hidden patterns in some of the most important areas of science and business.
I mean, in business, yeah, this is how you figure out exactly what to stock for Black Friday. But think bigger. In healthcare, researchers use this exact same idea to link groups of genes to certain diseases, which can open up totally new ways to treat them. And in neuroscience, it can connect patterns of brain activity to what a person is literally seeing or thinking. It's all about finding those crucial connections between two totally different sets of information.
You know, the researchers themselves put it perfectly. They said co-clustering offers a richer understanding, and that's really the heart of it. It's not just about finding groups of things, it's about understanding the relationships between those groups. It gives you the context, it tells you the story. It just reveals a much more complete and honestly a much more useful picture of what's going on.
So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? These same kinds of hidden relationships, between symptoms and illnesses, or behaviors and outcomes, or actions and their consequences, they're playing out all around us every single day. So the real question is, what hidden patterns are shaping your world?